said you were in love with us right after the part about killing your sister.
I said I enjoyed your company.
That is the Catathian definition of love.
That's a fake laugh. It's real!
We've all lost someone, Drax. But it gets easier if you surround yourself with the right people.
I am Groot. You said it yourself, bitch. We're the Guardians of the Galaxy.
Hello, all you wonderful people, and welcome to the show that looks from games from the past, the present, or even the future, and decides what their judgment is going to be. I'm your host, Gamessnia, and today is another edition of the Gamessnia Show. Now, I want to take you back to the date December 10th, 2021, as that was the Game Awards for that year, and obviously that one had to be really good considering the one prior maybe showing a bit too much favoritism towards one game, and I'll let you figure out what game that is because I'm not saying it right here. But you know what, I was actually excited for this past year's Game Awards at the time because actually there was a lot of games on there that I personally wanted to win awards, like Game of the Year. I actually wanted Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart to be in the contenders, but I believe it wasn't on there. I think it was like, level design. I can't remember exactly what category it won. I believe it won a certain category, but I can't remember myself. But I was actually really excited for it. There was like tons of games on there. But the one thing that I didn't expect from that was Best Narrative. But you know, Best Narrative, that is a tough egg to crack if you ask me. That's gotta be a combination of story and characters all mixed together. So it's obviously gotta create this strong narrative. So you can imagine how annoyed, how confused, and how what I was at Guardians of the Galaxy winning it. Guardians of the Galaxy, like, I have no problem with the movies. The movies are absolutely amazing, and them in the Marvel Cinematic Universe is absolutely amazing too. But Guardians of the Galaxy, the game? I remember Guardians of the Galaxy game very differently. In fact, my first impressions were not pretty. I hated it. Like, we are talking no remorse type of hate right here. There was almost nothing. The only things I did like was maybe Rocket's design, because let's be honest, there wasn't much else you could do for a raccoon of all things, and the look of the areas you'd be exploring. But everything else, just no. And you know, it maybe seems a bit unfair to judge it from the first announcement trailer, but it just didn't look pretty. But you know what, I did say to myself during the time when it dropped, I thought, you know what, I'll give it more time. I'll wait till more of the game comes out, and I'm sure it'll get better. It didn't get better. This was just one of those instances where the more that was announced for the game, and the more they revealed, the more it made me not want to buy it. And the fact all they showed you gameplay-wise was just Star-Lord immediately made me think the worst of the game. I mean, imagine making a game based on a superhero team, but the game only lets you control one of those characters and not any others. That's like making a Justice League game, but you're only allowed to play as Green Arrow. It just doesn't make sense to me. And you know, it didn't seem right to me at first, but then it just got worse and worse with the more footage that they shown from the trailers. Because honestly, gameplay-wise, really? Star-Lord is the only character that you can play as? I mean, yeah, they didn't really say that, but that's all you've been getting in the trailers, so it just leads you to believe that this is the case. And Star-Lord is the guy with the least potential in gameplay-wise out of the Guardians. I mean, Gamora, she's got all the athleticism and her swords and all that. Rocket, the gadgets and all that. Groot, he's a fucking tree of all things. You can literally craft so much shit with that. Drax, he's a powerhouse. So much. But you choose Star-Lord of all people. And I have nothing against Star-Lord. Absolutely nothing wrong with him. But it just doesn't paint a nice picture. And I swear, if it wasn't for the Game Awards giving this game Best Narrative of the Year, or any of the critics saying all of these positive things about it and how it's a masterpiece of a story, I probably wouldn't have gotten it. But this is what we're doing today. We're going to be seeing if Guardians of the Galaxy is really that good of a game, and just how truly wrong I might be on this game. Wow. Congrats. You got me. You know, it's so uncommon these days, but this title screen right here is it. It's like the impression you got when you first laid eyes on the Arkham Asylum menu for the first time. It just captures everything about the character and the tone it needs to set. And look, it's cool. It's very, very cool. It has that Guardians vibe to it, and I'm kind of impressed by the just beginning already of it. But I'm not going to be fooled that easily, because this is when a game decides to bring a bomb of disappointment my way. So, I'm not being fooled so easily, Guardians. Not a chance. We open up with a young Peter Quill who, despite having the most 80s hairstyle imaginable, is spending his birthday with his mum, who is even more 80s looking. I mean, look at the size of those rings she's wearing. You could perform circus acts in those, I swear. But oh my god. I absolutely loved this opening segment. Like, holy sh**. It was amazing. Just exploring your room as much as possible and seeing all the little references / little nods in Peter's room, whether it be references to movies, composers, interacting with video game consoles from that era, the Lego Vision, and little hidden Easter eggs to Marvel, such as a Daily Bugle newspaper, which maybe means a certain character exists in this universe. And all of this while listening to heavy metal that kicks so much ass you forget are not a real band and was just created for the game exclusively. Holy Mary, that is so effing cool. I never thought effort went that far. And for all those reasons alone, I am now extremely impressed with what I have been given. What the hell? I'm actually impressed. The main menu has got a Guardians vibe to it, and the opening segment is straight up what an opening to a Guardians movie would be. Something like what James Gunn would make. Okay, I'm intrigued. Well, actually, just to clarify, I'm really impressed by the first hour alone. I'll admit, it did start off a bit rocky for me, but that's only because I'm not a fan of the whole blonde Star-Lord look. It just looks like a fucking prissy boy to me. And the Drax original design just has never done it for me. I just think it looks really silly. But I actually did like the conversations between the Guardians and the Star. The fact that the conversations on the ship happen at the most random of times, and immediately discovering these guys never shut up, both were beginning to paint that lovely picture I wanted from this team. And the fact that every single Guardian has their own room all tidily decorated to match their character is really kinda cute. Well, then you have Rockets, of course. That shit is just wires, screens, and a chair. There's so much fucking mess here that I don't know what's going on. Where do you sleep? And this is probably me just geeking out because I love music so much, and more so because it's one of the 4 things I cherish the most in this world. So I do apologize if I'm gonna get a bit excited about this. But holy shit, the soundtrack! There's so much good tracks here. All the tracks are ones you probably have heard at one point in your life, but the fact that 80% of them captures the whole aesthetic of Guardians of the goddamn Galaxy is absolutely amazing. And yeah, there is the odd other 20% of tracks, including the Star-Lord game exclusive band, that in my opinion don't fit as well as the others, but dude, honestly, I don't care. I'm getting Iron Maiden, Motley Crue, and a superhero game again. Why should I even bother to complain about this? I'm not going to get this for another 10 years, so you bet your ass I'm cherishing every second of this. And oh, this planet. They picked the right planet for us to play first. Just absolutely gorgeous. This is why I play a Guardians game in the first place. For the planets, for the abnormal and weird creatures you may encounter along your journeys, which are so unique in their own designs. There's no rehashed bullshit of the same enemies again and again. All these environments and landscapes are so beautiful and so exotic to look at, or maybe they can be a bit fierce and grim to look at sometimes. And there's a lot of variety here and differences of each planet, but the beginning planet is easily one of the most beautiful ones I've seen. It's the same with Space 2. Alien Isolation captured on how empty and scary it can be, but Guardians of the Galaxy is definitely an example of how you showcase the beauty of the galaxies and the planets that inhabit them. I feel like I'm playing a Ratchet and Clank game all over again. Not a bad thing, mind you, it's 100% a good thing. And I actually didn't mind the whole style of combat here. Well, I did, but when I started, it's not actually that bad. I mean, I would prefer a whole X-Men Legends / Marvel Ultimate Alliance style of combat, where you can switch in and out of characters, and that would have been so much better. But the whole idea that this game has a buddy system implemented into it makes sense, given it's a team based on communication, and it actually can be really fun, where you can rely on other members of your team and give certain attack commands, making combat feel a bit more strategic, making it kinda, I said kinda, a bit more okay you can only play as Star-Lord. I mean, I don't see it without its faults, because trust me, even though I'm okay with it as variety is offered, such as staggering your enemies with the buddy system, which will help you deal maximum damage from your blasters, which in my opinion gives a very guilty satisfaction on my end, but for the year 2022, it definitely is an aged system. But just imagine the worst case scenario of it not working. This game could have been a huge disaster from the immediate get-go, but from what I've played so far, as of now standing at 4 hours, it actually works, and that's the best thing that I could hope for. It sucks too, because there's so much about the game so far that I absolutely enjoy, but the combat isn't one of them. It's just one of those things that falls flat for me, and my opinion on it hasn't really changed from the initial thoughts what I had before I booted this game up for the very first time. I don't know, it feels very 2000-ish, and it doesn't connect with me, and it's very boring, and it's like spamming the same stuff over and over again, you know, shoot, and then using your guardians to help you in combat and all that, and occasionally use finisher moves to take down a big enemy. It just doesn't feel special to me, and it really does suck the life out of some bits of the game where you have to go through countless waves of enemies. It just doesn't suit, in my opinion, and it is a real downside because I've been enjoying this game so far. However, if you don't like the combat as much, or feel it's unimaginative or boring, but you fall in love with a team such as the Guardians, I mean, let's be real here, who wouldn't? Look at them, they're the bunch of weirdos any sole person would want as their friends. I want them as my friends. There's absolutely no doubt in my mind you're gonna love when you huddle up in this game. This might be the most perfect feature for a superhero team game I've ever seen. I just straight up love it. Just the idea of huddling with your team who are viewed as your best friends and trying to hype them up with words of encouragement, with a conversation that can feel so real at times, with some being annoyed at others or the whole group being ready to kick some serious ass, is so... Guardians! I was never sick of this. You're really supposed to save this for the times when you need it the most, as it can boost your defense and your attacks, but because of how amazing it was, I used it instantaneously the second I saw it as an option, and no matter if I failed it or not, it always gave me this rush of excitement, and just the idea of kicking some intergalactic space soldier ass or some random gelatin molds along to some good old classic wham is a moment in a game I will never forget for as long as I live.
Okay, coach is clear. You're up, Rocket.
Make it fast.
Oh my god, there's so many of these songs as well that play throughout these huddle sections. Like once you play them, it's all different times, it's all different songs when you play them, and it's just like, oh my god, it's so good. I loved these bits because it felt Guardians. I know I keep saying that, but a lot about this game just feels like Guardians, and this is one of those moments where, yeah, it feels great. And there are so many moments like this. Unfortunately, I can't really show you anything in like a clip montage because obviously I don't know what songs are going to majorly affect the show in a bad way, if you know what I mean. But just understand that there is so many feel-good moments where songs play after these huddle is honestly the best feeling ever. I honestly can't describe it. And you know, I absolutely love the Guardians movies. Guardians of the Galaxy 2 is actually one of my favourite films of all time. But am I wrong in saying this right here? That the Guardians in the movies are good? but they're nowhere near as good as the games.
Yeah, you heard me. And this is coming from a guy who hated Drax's design, hated the prissy puffy blonde lord look, majorly disliked Gamora's outfit, and thought they straight up were copying the looks of Groot and Rocket from the movies. Honestly, I thought they would all be boring characters and wouldn't bounce off each other in scenes, making the whole team feel nothing on what the Guardians of the Galaxy should be. And guess what? I was fucking wrong. Easily the best part of this game has to do with the characters, the dialogue, the relationships, the way the team reacts to each other. Just throw that all in there into a blender, and congratulations, you have just created a smoothie of success. Because to me, the Guardians has always been about the team and their relationships and how they have been outcast and are in their own way a bunch of losers that have all had their indifferences between them, and I'm given the absolute full appreciation for all the amazing actors who portrayed these characters, because the amount of dialogue in this game, whether it's scripted or not, is absolutely endless. The dialogue can be something to do with the plot. It can be normal discussions based on what actions you make. If you detour and go a different way, the Guardians will confront you about it and maybe start a issue, which, again, is so Guardians.
Behold Lady Hellbender's wrath. Even the Chitauri feared her.
What's Captain distracted up to now? If he calls us over, I'm done. Whoa, guys! There's this totally sweet pile of crap on the ground.
Or it can honestly be the most random thing to ever bring up in certain scenarios that have zero relevance on what is going on, and sometimes can feel a bit awkward because it's the wrong time to say it.
You know, this reminds me of the last time I was stuck in an elevator. I was with this Shi'ar girl, and
Ew! What is wrong with you?
she was a lovely person.
Someone, please get out of here.
And I'm just stunned by the amount of dialogue I discovered in this game. It just never seemed to stop, and this accompanied by the very well written and performed characters of the individual members just made me fall in love with the team all over again. It truly felt like a team full of misfits who, even though ain't always gonna get along, they are the right people for each other. Even a character like Drax, who at first wasn't a character I didn't particularly like in this game, but was someone who I loved in the MCU, which I'm very sorry to say this, but this is easily a much better interpretation of the character, especially with a certain moment in the game later on, which I won't get too much into, other than the fact that it absolutely tore me up inside. This was fantastic acting here. Drax might just be the highlight of the game for me. And that's not to take anything away from any other characters, they were all amazing. I love that they acted like a team and cooperated like one too, as each Guardian had their own traversal abilities, like Drax lifting heavy objects, or Gamora helping you reach high ledges you couldn't normally reach. Even at one time, Rocket refused to open a door for me because he was not being listened to at this point in the story. I just thought it was all nailed to perfection. It's such a small thing, I know, but at the end of the day, it's honestly the little things that have made me enjoy this game as of yet, and I can fully safely say, is that a llama? And because of all of this, I just felt it. I felt how destroyed they were after past experiences through their character moments. I could relate to them on a certain level, and that's all I asked for me to bond with a team where no one character is more important than others, and to make you care about everyone in the team. This is how you do it, Avengers. You make me care, you make me feel, you give them enough time to flesh out and be the characters they are meant to be. You make me laugh. This game made me laugh. I never thought I'd say that, but I did. In fact, almost immediately upon playing this, I just died of laughter, especially at this bit right here.
I may activate a hole through your face!
Put me down!
He'll be fine. Just curl up in a ball.
What?
Drax, throw him.
No! Very well!
Peter?
It's okay. He'll land on his feet. I guess that only applies to cats.
You sons of dogs! Scut-busting ass!
I am not familiar with these words.
Filthy grunt scum, but
I think he's making them up. He's really pissed.
You can rot, you free-bagging flarkhole!
At least he's not shooting at us. You missed on purpose, right?
Order the beast to do its job.
Rocket, come on, man!
Ram it, dash face!
Fix the bridge and we'll raise your cut by 5%.
I want 10.
Okay, deal. We'll take it out of Groot's cut. He doesn't understand money anyway.
A few minutes later...
Come on. Why is the bridge always on the wrong side?
I could throw.
Touch me again and I paint these cliffs green.
Okay, okay.
And you know, I love the movies. I absolutely love how they do the movies. I think all the characters in that are really cool. All of them are well casted. I just think the games one is much better in terms, like Drax is much better in the game. Star-Lord is so much more better in the game because he has a bit more character in some elements. Gamora is sometimes a bit more happier over the fact that she loves this team. Rocket is, well, I do prefer Bradley Cooper's voice, but I do believe that Rocket gets maybe a bit more in this game and a bit more dickish character moments, and I actually really appreciate that. But that's not what it's all about. It's all at the end of the day about best narrative. This game was awarded for best narrative. So how really good is the story? It's pretty fucking good.
Wow. Just... wow. I'm shocked. I'm honestly still shocked over this. I'm shocked over the amount of stuff that I have just played, that I've just went through. I've never seen a superhero story so beautifully crafted, structured, and executed in the longest possible time. And yes, not even Spider-Man outdid this for me. I just couldn't stop loving everything about it. With so many twists and turns, including a fake ending that could give you the choice to end your game right there and then, even though you hadn't even reached the halfway point yet. It had heart. The conflicts between characters felt so real, and there was just too many conversations that just made me smile with utter joy, including a dog who speaks fucking Russian.
Always catch Peter Quill. And not fun kind with ball.
Oh, he's so adorable. And they actually made me love a character I, for the longest time, hated. I honestly didn't think that was possible, but they did it. When you insert a character who I have never liked ever since his debut in the comics, and you turn him into a less serious, but yet interesting character, and you make me love him, that's when you know how good this game is. And thank for the love of God, collecting outfits means something again. I really can't remember the last time where exploring as much as you can rewarded you with stuff like outfits for your characters. No pay to win or just pay for your pleasure BS. Just simply find these boxes in every chapter to unlock costumes, and I maybe do lie when I say that actually. Simply cannot paint the right picture. The costumes are actually easy to miss, in fact extremely easy, which kind of makes it that more rewarding for taking the off-beaten path.
And you know, there was a lot that I was actually impressed by. And I could state that one of those things was actually the dialogue paths.
Gotta say that took me off guard. It can affect your exploration and the difficulty you would have to go through in fights. But I'll be honest, I do wish there were more moments like this in the game, or maybe one of these branches affected a major part of the story, instead of just making a certain final chapter a bit more hectic to go through. And yeah, there is stuff like this here and there that just make you go, eh. And hey, I actually think it's a really cool way of playing. Not the best, granted, but still good enough to get by. But by the time you hit maybe chapter 8, it really starts to get monotonous and repetitive. And by the last 2 chapters, it's really effing annoying. It's a shame too, because the last 3 chapters are when the story is easily at its best. And if it wasn't for that and the interactions between the whole team, I might have gave up on this game so much earlier. It's just the same situation all the time with its combat. Just constant givings of more and more enemies to deal with every single time. And the difficult part is honestly just trying not to be bored during all of it. It's just not fun. And for as great as the story can be, it just doesn't fully excite me to come back after I finish it, because after that, why should I bother? Especially when there are cases of bugs on the side to dampen it down more than it really is. Like, what the fuck, man? Why is something as simple as shimmying on ledges or going through passageways a one-way trip? Why can't I go back? Like, I'm not joking here. I can't go back. Why is this an issue? Yeah, actually, you can go back. You just have to wait till you exit this weird camera angle, then you can go back the other way, but the Guardians can't. Why? I had a box I missed, so I went back and got Rocket to help me get it. It didn't work. You wouldn't go back. And that's all because I already advanced past the invisible wall of progression. And yeah, I get it. I'm an idiot. I maybe should have explored a bit more before moving on, but I don't get why this is an issue in the first place. It shouldn't be an issue in the year 2022. And look, I really hate to be that guy, because truth be told, I'm more impressed at the graphics than I initially expected to be. The look of Rocket's fur, the planet landscapes, space, and Gamora's hair as well. Just, God, I want to marry it. Just look how smooth that shit is. But there are just times when models just feel off and don't look as good at times. Text skipping, texture pop-ins occasionally happening that are, quite noticeable. I just noticed a bit too much of these. You could almost say it bugged me. There's other little sections / variation or whatever you want to call them, such as a couple space fights which feel quite special as you only get 3 of them, and adding few instances of puzzle solving with the 4 main elements you get with your guns, which do have a very effective use in combat to help break shields and damage certain enemies that are vulnerable to certain elements. And you know, there is so much more to even list off. Seriously people, play Guardians of the Galaxy. I don't care whether it's on PlayStation 4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox Series X, or even PC, or maybe in the future when they release it, Nintendo Switch. As long as you play it from beginning to end, I don't care at the end of the day. Just play it. I fucking dare you.
But Guardians of the Galaxy. Guardians of the Galaxy. Guardians of the Galaxy is a marvellous game. The story, the characters, everything to do with the narrative, and I understand why this won Narrative of the Year. It's so effing good. Like, you have to just play it. You have to just play the game itself to fully grasp in its story, to love its characters. The dialogue between the entire team. The team feels like a team. The team feels like a struggling team trying to, battle the entire universe, and I love that. I mean, it's exactly what Avengers failed to be. That's actually the perfect way of putting it, actually. Guardians of the Galaxy is everything Avengers should have been in the first place. And that is exactly the perfect analogy to describe Guardians. It is a perfect way of explaining it. And honestly, if you ever get the chance, full price, discount price, or maybe even free if you're lucky, get this game. It is honestly worth your time, and don't stay for the combat, but stay for the story and its meaningful characters. Trust me, you will not regret it. But thank you all for tuning in today, and it's been honestly one of those days where it's honestly been really nice. I thought this whole episode was gonna be filled with just stuff like, oh yeah, this game isn't gonna be that good, and it turns out to be mediocre. Honestly, that's what I thought, and I was just thinking, right, gonna get ready for this, and I was ready to be disappointed, but honestly, I wasn't. I'm glad I was wrong about Guardians of the Galaxy. But enough of that. I have been your host, Gamessnia. I all hope you enjoyed today's broadcast of the Gamessnia show, and I will all see you guys in the very next broadcast of the Gamessnia show. Until then, Gamessnia signing off.